welcome. It's me, Percita, and this is Percita's Paradox. So here we are on this Thursday, really a bit of food for thought. It's been a very trying couple of days within this lovely world of ours, and I'm sure you are catching the raft of it also. And what I wanted to ask today is simply, how are you coping? What exactly are you doing to keep yourself mentally stimulated and not completely in a tumultuous, depressive state? I just wanted to share with you a few things that I feel can actually help you, but at the same time, just kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I feel like is going on and what exactly we can do to kind of help ourselves, right? So first off, and first and foremost in this story of ours, in this thing called life, is really learning that we had to learn some sense of humanity, right? I mean, most of the things that we're doing right now, a lot of the resources that are being used and the energy that we're putting into trying to help each other. I mean, of course, there's going to be the people who are completely walking in fear. And what I mean by walking in fear, you see the store issues, you see individuals who are completely perplexed with food and the panic of life and what's going to happen. And it's all a matter of trauma to the brain in the unknown. Like if we ever didn't know that we all have the exact same fear, which is the unknown, right? Then this is the time for us to really pay attention that we are really having to lean on what I like to call our empath side or our human side. We've been very inhumane to each other for a very long time. Very, very, very long time. Between hundreds of years of racism and social economical issues and racism, it's always been something with us as humans, right? And it feels as if not only is this American driven, but it's internationally driven. So it kind of gives you a different connotation on there's something that we need to do as a whole to make this thing called life work and work better, right? In the end of all of our days, the things that we need are all of the things that everyone else needs. Like if you notice when you go to the grocery store, the exact same thing that you need is the exact same thing that someone else needs. How do you know? How do you know? You know this because everything that you need is already gone. Now, we're not talking about the hoarders, and we're not talking about people who just absolutely strive to gouge people with price increases and spikes in order to interrupt their lives. We're not talking about those people. What we're talking about is just the simple need that we all have and how similar that need is. And you can't always identify similarities until you get to a point where you're in this type of state. Now, for my believers, it's very difficult because you only want to talk about or you emphasize the God side of it. And I'm not telling you as a believer that I don't see God in everything. But what I want to say is that not everything can be identified simply in the religious realm. Like he did give us preparational pretenses to know how to use our wisdom also. If you believe in God, to me, then you believe in everything about God, not just the good, not just the bad, but everything across the board. So it's a little different for me. I don't feel as if there's anything wrong with your stance if you're more in the religious realm of what God is doing. I just am trying to say it along the lines of sometimes I feel as if we can throw people off as believers as only speaking about the religious side of that or the believer side of it. So I'm hoping even for us, because I too am a believer, we understand that there's a balance between really showing out and really emphasizing what we believe by using our humane mindsets and treating people more in a human standpoint instead of the inhumane way that we have. And at the same time, letting our actions speak so that we can allow the God in us to expose who God is. And at the exact same time, there's always going to be a time where you absolutely have to do something that might not be so great. It might be a little bit more on the negative side, and it might be someone or something that you have to confront, and I'm not arguing that either. But what I'm trying to say is that in order to try to stay as calm as you can and cope, it seems to be more realistic to just really, one, follow directions. Beyond the conspiracy theory, beyond the fact of what the government is doing, how they're not doing it, it's getting really down to the point of it's an economical standpoint across the board for everyone, and we're all affected, be it conspiracy or not. The bottom line is that we're all affected, and in order to cope and to do it best, we should follow directions as quickly and as efficiently as we can so that everyone reaps the benefit and can get back to whatever this norm is that we're rushing to get back to. And at the same time, this is also a time in coping that you can actually do some things that you thought that you didn't have time for. Let's treat it as a complete antagonistic scenario. And let me say, what if I said to you just a month ago, you were talking about how much time you needed off or how much you wanted to do and relax and just, if you could just be at home, that would be great. Okay, I'm gonna take you up on that and say now we have a couple of weeks where staying at home is exactly what it is you need to do. Now, for us parents, it's not that exciting to be staying at home with our children, but they're yours. So if they're bad, that's something else to talk about in another video, but let's just express if that's the case, that's something that falls on you. Sorry to tell you. So let's try to cope better. Let's try to do things better by simply using our human side. You don't have to buy groceries and food for the month. You can buy them exactly the same way that you've always bought them, because we're not running out of food. We're running out of food in between delivery times, because let's just be honest, food has a delivery system, and basically we are out buying what that is. So let's help each other by not panicking and also buying up every single thing so that no one else has the ability. I know you've seen and heard this, just something I'm going to throw out to say. In coping with the panic, there's something that comes inside of you. Maybe it's your endorphins that gives you the ability to feel good about yourself if you're helping someone else. Have you ever noticed that when you assist someone or you make someone smile, it makes you happy and it makes you smile? And something as simple as not buying up everything to know that your brother or sister in society could actually feed themselves and their family, I hope would make you feel great and make you feel as if you want to do it. So let's think of just anything that we can do to just really make this time efficient. Cleaning your home, taking out things that you might not need, giving it to other people if you need it. Might not necessarily be the right time to do it, but to have it prepared, awesome. To literally go and read that book that you always said you wanted to read, or to simply create a better meditational scale, all fantastic. Because anything else you really can't control. So what I'm trying to convey is that in order to cope, you actually have to be in a position where you've imploded love within yourself so heavy that it's very easy and it comes very natural to you to give it back to other people. So hopefully, that's just my jargon of the day. I didn't want to really come at you too heavy because that's not really the space that I'm in right now. I'm just hoping that we all can just look in the mirror and understand that at the end of the day, regardless of color or background or ethnic scenario or financial gain, we all need the same thing. This crisis, this how can I put this? This conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, is hitting everyone, the rich and the poor. It has no account to make sure that it's only hitting the rich or the poor. It's hitting everyone and hitting everyone equally, and we're all in a position of having to adjust and rearrange. So let's just try to cope by really understanding that the first arm of coping is really trying to feel what another person is feeling before we make a decision, or before we try to put hands on them, or before we get into an argument. If you're feeling panicked, 9 times out of 10 that everyone around you is feeling panicked. So to try to control where you are is best in coping with what we're going through right now. So I hope this helps. It really does. I really do. I was not in a position and I really wanted to say anything more than that to you. Just like, I love you the way I know that you love me. We don't personally always have to know each other, but just the fact that I know that I wouldn't want to hurt, I would not want someone else to hurt. And I'm hoping that I can convey that to you today for you to understand that that is the best way to cope in this time of uncertainty. That uncertainty is what brings forth all of the attitudes and anger and, just physicality and violence that we are all experiencing. We're just panicking. And the panic comes from the unknown. The fear comes from the unknown. We're all trying to figure out how are we going to sustain, or how are we going to live, or what are we going to do with our kids? I mean, it's all of these unknown facets of your life that you are used to being in some sense of control or having some sense of a deadline or a finish to what's happening. So I just want to share with you that we're all feeling it. Try your best to cope with you and making you feel comfortable in it. And at the same time, finding a way to just really decompress and find a newness in you, and finding something that you can do to assist you specifically in coping with everything that's going on. Because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. At the end of the day, I always try to tell myself, if this is something that I can change, then I change it. If I can't, then this is something that I need to learn. This is a lesson that I need to go through. This is a trial that God has given me. Therefore, I'm going to move through it, understanding and knowing that I'm going to win. And I'm going to win for no other reason than I'm going to be prepared. And in that preparation, I cannot walk in fear and try to be prepared. You have to believe that you are prepared in whatever it is that you're going through. Okay, so thank you so much as usual for joining me. You're awesome. I appreciate your patience in between videos. I definitely don't want to get on the channel in the next couple of weeks just talking any old thing. I don't want to just talk about things that are not really happening as if I don't know what's happening in the world. I want to be relevant. I want to make sure that I am connecting with you all. This might not be a big time for you to want to comment. You don't really like to comment anyway. Still continue to send me your inboxes. I love your feedback. Don't really worry about it. At this point, I might actually just cut the comments off on my video because it's so intense for you all to seem to want to speak, but you don't necessarily want others to see what you're saying. And I appreciate the honesty, and I'm not really taking it personal. I'm just going to tell you, remember to like, share, subscribe, tell everyone about the channel that you think could help. Follow me on my Instagram, Percita's Paradox, or Percitas.paradox, and make sure you just do everything that it is that you need to do to remain in 3 facets of your life. Living life authentic. I'm always going to say, live life authentic, because if you can start there, I promise you, everything else flows, and it absolutely is the easiest thing to do. Okay? So thank you so much as always, and I'll see you on next week. Bye-bye.